N8, which is just here. You're joining us today to talk about social networking on the N8. I'm James Holland, editor of Electric Pig. This is Ben Sillis, reviews editor of Electric Pig. We're going to take your questions, so if there's anything you want to know about social networking or just the N8 in general, ping us a note. We're on @ElectricPig through Twitter. We're on facebook.com/electricpig, editor @electricpig.co.uk if you want to email us, or if you look below, there's a comments window and a live chat, so just drop us a line. Anything you want to know about the N8 in there. Any questions so far, Ben?
We had a couple in here from Twitter from Ashish. He wants to know, is the Nokia N8 social networking widget good enough to do all the tasks you want to easily, or will you still need other third-party apps like Gravity?
It's a good question. We'll come on to the social networking widget and the N8 social networking app shortly, but briefly, just so you can tell what we're talking about, I've got the N8 plugged in here, which is where you can see a cable. The N8 has widgets on the front end, so if I tap and hold the home screen, you'll see space there for me to add kind of at a glance information, and you see the one there with my face in it is the Nokia's own social widget. It's not a Facebook app, it's not a Twitter app, it's Nokia Social, which pulls in lots of social networks. We'll talk more about it later. Excuse me, but it does lots of stuff, and it's as fully featured, and in some ways more fully featured than, say, the Facebook apps on iPhone or Android. So yeah, we'll go through that in detail, but in short, it does everything those apps do, and it actually does a couple of things that they don't, which is quite unusual considering it's third party. Any more, Ben, before we crack on?
Yeah, Ashish again, he wants to know, is there a way to download applications from the OV store first to your PC and then send it or sideload it onto the Nokia N8?
Again, another good question, because with obviously with the iPhone, you take an app either straight to the iPhone or into iTunes and then into the iPhone with a cable. The OV store is a little bit different. You get the option when you go into an app to send it to your mobile, and that means that if you're browsing it on the web, you just tap in your mobile number and it literally sends a link to your phone, and then you can click the button and download it. Or you can browse the OV store on its own on the phone, just as you would on the iPhone or on an Android phone. The other good thing about OV store is you can send links to apps to friends, so you can do that with the iPhone as well, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a bit harder on Android. Excuse me, but you can load things on direct onto the phone, or you can send them to it from a computer. There's no way to sync apps from a Mac or a PC into the N8. So I hope that answers your question. So let's crack on with social networking. And because social networking, before we've talked about the hardware of the N8 first, and then the software. We're going to do things a little bit different today because there aren't that many things hardware-wise that affect social networking. The N8 has Wi-Fi, end-standard Wi-Fi, so it's going to be very fast, and it has good range. It's also 3G, as you'd expect, and it has a nice big 12 megapixel camera, but those pictures are compressed when they're sent to Facebook or Twitter anyway. So on the face of it, there's not much hardware that you need to social network. I'm just going to go into, so what I thought we'd do is we'd skip straight into the social app itself. So I have already partly set it up, but I've left some of it undone. It's under applications, and you see it works in portrait or landscape, and it's that one there. It's socials, a crowd of little people. It's got a Facebook and Twitter icon on there. Now at the moment, the social app only supports Facebook and Twitter. Nokia say they're going to add other networks, and that depends on the region that you're in. So if you're in Brazil, I think there's one called Orkut. They're going to add things. Well, I would assume they were going to add Bebo, but Bebo's now closing. There are lots of ones that are being added, so they've promised updates, but the two main ones, the ones that most people are going to need, Facebook and Twitter, they're there. Now to set up social, you need an OV account. That's probably the first stumbling block that anyone will come across, but you're going to need one of those to download apps anyway, so you may as well set one up. So it's asking me at the moment to sign in with my OV account, which I used to set this up, so I'll just tap in my password. I think this is because I changed the password the other day. So you can see there, you get a nice big QWERTY keyboard, or if you turn it vertically, you get a number pad keyboard, which is kind of multi-tap, or T9, you can switch on T9 as well. So I'm just going to give it the password. I'll tell it to sign in automatically from now on, so I don't have to do this again. Just going to think about it. And I think we're in. Yes, we're in. There you go. So there's my Facebook feed straight away. Facebook's the only one that I've set up so far. I haven't added my Twitter yet because I thought it'd be good to show you guys how that works. So first things first. Just unplug this cable for a second. There's my Facebook home screen. Without giving away too much personal information, you can see Facebook have dominated. Electric Pig has dominated the top, the first few bits of my news feed. But you know, it's pretty responsive. Hope you can see this. And that's because there's a capacitive touch screen, and it's very quick. Now across the top, I've got icons for all the Facebook features you'd expect. So I can tap into messages. I'm not going to show you those, but there you go. You can tap into messages. You can tap into the calendar, and I can see it's usually people's birthdays because that's the majority of the automatic events that show up on Facebook. I'll show you that. Something cool here. So I can see my friend Ian has his birthday. Actually, no, that's yesterday, so I won't do that one. Luke, my friend Luke, has his on Tuesday, 9th of November. So if I tap Luke's birthday, I get the option to, I just tapped his name instead, I get the option to view his profile, send him a message, or there's a button at the top there which is to add that event to the N8 built-in calendar. And that's handy because it means I can get alerts, I can set reminders, I can set alarms. So I'll do that now. Add this to my calendar. The event successfully added to phone calendar. It's that simple, it's that quick. It's half a second. Next tab along is groups, and you can see my groups there. And I can tap into them. I can send messages to people who are in groups that I'm an administrator of. Now, that's really rare. You don't get that feature on the iPhone, certainly. I'm not sure you get it on Android. I'm pretty sure you don't. And you can also search for groups. So I know there's an N8 group on Facebook. So I'll search for N8, and it goes off, looks for matches. And there it goes, come back with a load of results of my friends, actually, strangely. But there, groups is built in, which is quite strange. And then the last one is notifications and requests. So I've got 18 people who want to be my friend. Don't take it personally, but I'm not friends with everyone on Facebook. And I can scroll through them, and at the bottom I see event invitations as well. I can tap into that. And again, I can say, yes, I'll attend that event, no, I won't, maybe. Or again, I can add that to my calendar. That's dead handy. Hope you can see that. So, in a nutshell, that's the Facebook app. Now, there's a couple of other things here. So, I can force refresh Facebook rather than to leave the app and go back in. There's this. Social, it's the same group of people as I showed you on the social app icon at the top of the screen. You see it there? It's just that one. That's always going to take you home. Now, I'll tap that because there's something quite interesting that happens when I take you home. This is the home screen of the social app, the Nokia inbuilt social app. Now, I can add an account there. At the moment, as I say, it says select community, Facebook or Twitter. I've done Facebook, so let's sign up for Twitter. I'm just going to tap in my username, which is James Holland, if you want to follow me on Twitter. Ben is Ben Sillis, if you wanted to follow him. I can't type and speak, so you have to bear with me. I've got to remember my Twitter password. Just going to sign in. So there you go, it's logging me in now. And hey presto, it's added it. So now I've got a few more options onto the front page of social. I'll come back to those in just a second. I'm just going to show you the main Twitter interface, because you'll see it's quite similar. There you go. It's pretty similar to Facebook, not a million miles off. And that's one of the nicer things about having it all into one app, is that you don't have to learn the intricacies of different third-party apps. You know, it's all quite uniform. So across the top, I've got these buttons. Home is home. I've got a button with an @ in the middle of it. That's for direct messages to me, to @JamesHolland. There's one with a star, which is my favourites. I've got one for direct messages, which are for private messages, and I've got a search button. Yeah. I did not want to do that. There we go. And there's also under that, of course, a compose button. So if I hit compose, as you'd expect, I get the same treatment as before. So Twitter, very, very straightforward. I can also add a friend there, as in add them, as in mention them in Twitter. So it gives me a kind of directory of my Twitter contacts. Again, options, I can force it to refresh, I can log out, or I can go straight back home. So all in all, Twitter and Facebook, very simple, very uniform, very straightforward. I'll click home. Oh, there's one more thing. There's a button there to upload photos, and I can choose from the gallery, or I can take something fresh with the 12 megapixel camera. So straightforward, nice, simple Twitter client. Now, those things that I was going to show you on the front page of social, those extra options that popped up. Once I had more than one account for a social network, it gives me the option for friend search and all activity. Add account is still there, but at the moment I've got Facebook and Twitter in, so there's no point doing that. All activity is an interesting one. It pulls together everything from Facebook and everything from Twitter all into one feed, so you don't have to pop between apps. That's really handy. There's only a few phones that properly do that. HTC do it with HTC Sense, not HTC Sense. It's part of HTC Sense, HTC Friend Stream, which is their widget on Android phones. And Sony Ericsson do it, to be fair, with the X10. Although it's not quite as uniform as this, different UIs. And Ink do it with their non-smartphones. But this is a really handy way of doing it. So you can see I've got people from Twitter there with the little T logo next to them. I've got Facebook friends with a little F next to them, probably further down. And there's a couple of buttons at the top, update status and the little camera button. I'm sure you can see that. Very hard to show you guys everything I'm seeing. Update status is really handy because I can tap in playing with the new Nokia N8, hit send, and it will send it to Facebook and Twitter at once. So what? You might think, that saved you a couple of seconds typing. You can also do it with photos. So it will upload a photo to your Facebook wall, and it will send one to TwitPic on Twitter. So you can do both at once. That's really handy because that saves you uploading the same thing twice. It just does it all in one fell swoop. So nice and straightforward. Lastly, friend search, and then we'll take some questions. If you want to ask us any questions, send us a tweet through Twitter @electricpig. Talk to us on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/electricpig. Email us, editor@electricpig.co.uk, or talk to us in the chat window below, or the comments section even further down the page. You can hear Ben typing. That's what he's doing. He's talking to people there, and he's collating all these questions. So one look at friend search, and I promise we'll answer some questions. So friend search, dead simple. It wants to know my friend's name. Now I reset this N8 just before doing this. So there's I think there's one person, 2 people in the address book. So friend search, I've got no one's number, so I'm going to look for Ben. So I'll search for Ben. You should just find him with Ben. There you go. And searching my social networks. Now Ben is my friend on Facebook and Twitter, so fingers crossed, touch wood. I know quite a few Bens, so we might have to wait a minute. Add to that we're using the same Wi-Fi connection that this video is going out on, and there we go, it's quite slow. So there we go, it's got my friend David Benia here, because he's got Ben in his second name. Ben Solis, there he is, second hit, and it's found him on Facebook, and it's also found him right at the bottom on Twitter. Now I'm going to choose Facebook because that's got a photo, which is always nice to have. I can tap into it, there we go. I can view his profile, I can send him a message, or I can add his profile to a contact. Let's try doing that. I'll add his profile to a contact, and I'll just select contact, and bang, it's added in a link to his Facebook page, because that's what I chose, and it's synced the photo as well, which is dead handy. It's not that much use for Facebook, to be honest, because the people on Facebook you're probably already going to have in your phone. What it is useful for is finding people whose Twitter name you've forgotten, or or that aren't really your real life friends, as they're more likely to be on Facebook, and they're kind of your internet friends, as they're more likely to be on Twitter. So dead handy. Friend search built in is actually very, very smart. So we should have some questions by now. Ben, do you want to hit me with the first one?
Yeah, let's go have a look. What have we got here? VG Republic has just asked in the chat, can you see Facebook chat using the app?
Facebook chat doesn't work, as in real-time chat that's on the web, on the bottom right. That doesn't work as far as I know. I will just double check, but I haven't seen it. I don't remember seeing it. Let me just triple check for you. So I'll go into my Facebook. I'm 90% sure it isn't there, because it doesn't tell me who's online at the moment. No, I can't see live chat, so I'm afraid you're going to have to do without that. Then again, I think live chat is in the iPhone app, but I've personally never used it on my phone. I use it on desktop all the time, but not on my phone. One thing you could do is add a third-party app that does IM. Like eBuddy Mobile Messenger is one that works on the N8, and it's available from the early store. Pretty sure it's free. Let me just double check. Yes, it is free. I've got a list of IM apps here. We're going to talk about them later. So you could use one of those, and that means that you can sign up for Facebook, Yahoo, Google Talk, AIM, MySpace, ICQ. You can get them all into one IM app then, and that's, to be honest, probably easier than mixing it up with your social networks. Any more questions, Ben?
Yeah, what have we got next? Phil Lucas on Twitter has asked, hi, I realise the social app combines Facebook and Twitter. Is it possible just to have Facebook on it? I don't want to mix.
Yeah, completely. So when we first started, I didn't have Twitter signed up. I just put in Facebook, and that was it. You can do that. You can remove accounts. You can only have Facebook, or you can only have Twitter. It's completely up to you. Any more?
Yeah, Jenny on email has asked, can you do more or less on Facebook with the Nokia app compared to, say, Facebook on the iPhone or Android?
Yeah, like I said, there's a few features on here that the iPhone and Android just don't have. Things like adding to your calendar from events that are on Facebook. Things like looking at groups and sending messages to groups of people all at once. That's really handy, because that's, let's face it, what you're on social networks for, talking to lots of people and keeping in touch with lots of people. There are, like we just said, things that this is missing, in all honesty. I can't find live chat, and I know that's on the iPhone. But I think, all being said, all kind of being balanced well, I think that it's a great social networking app, in that it kind of pulls in so much stuff all at once. It's very handy. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Any more?
Yeah. Rick on Twitter wants to know, is there a Foursquare app coming, or some way of checking in through your phone?
You know the answer to this. There is a Foursquare.
There is indeed. It's coming. I actually was at Nokia World where they showed it off, and I got a good look at it. So let me just pull that up for anyone in the chat below, and I'll put the link in there.
Yeah. So Foursquare showed it off, and for those of you who haven't come across Foursquare, it's a kind of geolocation social network. So you check into places like you do on Facebook Places. That's another thing that Facebook doesn't have in social, actually. It doesn't have Places, which for some of you might be a relief. but you can see where your friends are because they check into venues or nightclubs or pubs or cinemas. And yes, there is a Foursquare coming, and I believe you can tie Foursquare into Facebook Places because Foursquare were at the Facebook Places launched and talked about that. So Ben's going to put the link in there. Have we got any more questions before I just briefly talk about the widgets on the front end?
Yeah, Ian wants to know in the chat, he's asked, can you post simultaneously to Facebook and Twitter?
Yes, Ian, perhaps you missed a few minutes ago, we showed you that once you have more than one social network, you get a handy, he says as the phone locks its screen, you get a handy all activity window which lets you scroll through Facebook and Twitter all at once and tap update status and send to Facebook and Twitter all in one go. And you can do that with photos or you can do it with text, so yes, you can post simultaneously. If you want to ask us any more questions, we'll crack on now. But if you want to get in touch, just send us a tweet to @electricpig. Talk to us on Facebook. We're on facebook.com/electricpig. Email us, editor@electricpig.co.uk, or talk to us in the chat window below. It's probably the quickest way. Or drop us a comment in the comments box. You can stay anonymous there if you really want to. So I mentioned right at the beginning about widgets. And plenty of phones have widgets. They're not as new as mobile manufacturers like to make out, but the N8 does them slightly differently. So whereas on Android you get lots of different shaped widgets, and some can be big and round, some are small and square, some are big and square, Nokia's are more regimented. So I've called up the widget box there, and I can choose what goes on the front of my phone. So you can see up there I've got my clock and a few shortcuts. Then that one with the face on it, that's my social widget. I've got two spaces below, so I can tap the plus sign there and I can choose a BBC News widget. I've got the option of a calendar, a chat widget, my favourites, FM transmitter, I can switch on off, music player. There's all sorts, absolutely all sorts. And the one we're going to talk about is obviously social networking. So click done, and I've added it. Now you can already see there that what I'm seeing is my own profile picture, so I know that it's my account I'm looking at. Inbox, I've got 61 messages. I'm rubbish at getting back to people on Facebook. There's 4 event invites and 22 requests that I'm friends with people or join their group or to go to their party or something like that. That's all very interesting, but it's not telling me anything I need to know at a glance. Then you've got those 2 up and down arrows at the side. That's where things get interesting, because if I tap down, you'll see, hopefully see, update status is what it says in there. So I can tap that, and boom, straight away I'm into update status, and that's for all activity. So I can do everything. One touch from the home screen, and I'm updating status. One more touch, and I've sent it. It's really, really, really quick. Go back to the home screen. If I go down one more, there we go. I've got the last Twitter update from all the people I'm following. It happens to be a radio station, LBC, Talk Radio in London, and they're just saying what they're talking about on air at the moment.